Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Cheeseboy628 here today, giving you week 5 of NPL Season 9. This week we are facing Newcastle Umbreon, headed by Coach Aberforth. I've known Aberforth for some time. He's one of the veterans that I'm pretty familiar with. Overall, he's had like moderate success. He's made it, pretty sure he's made it to bracket a number of times, but I don't know necessarily his success rate from there, but I've known him for long enough to where I think he's a pretty decent opponent. He's not having the best run the beginning of the season here. He's 0-4, but I'm 1-3 of course, so one win isn't really that much of a difference between us right now. However, looking at the circumstances, I am thinking me being 1-3 at this point, like if I don't win against Aberforth, which this should, statistically speaking, this is a better shot that I have for a win. So if I am not able to get this win, I don't know if this season is, cut out for me in terms of making bracket. As much as I've been learning from this experience, if I don't make it from here, like it would take a miracle, I would think, for me to reach bracket, because that would mean even if I won my next 5 battles in a row, I would be 6-4. And that's just, it's okay. But I would have to win 5 battles in a row as well, and that includes people who are currently only have 1 loss under their belt. So that's really saying something. So it would be pretty hard to not have any leeway if I lose this battle, basically. So with that in mind, we know the stakes, and here's Aberforth's team: Zardex, Zero Aura, Manaphy, Celebi, Togekiss, Scizor, Persian Alolan, Gengar, Archeops, Donphan, Cutiefly, and Venipede. Couple things, my team's the same. I did change it for week 7 actually, just recently made that input. I changed the Z on one of my Mons and I switched one of my Mons, and I'll go into more details of that when the time comes. But anyway, looking at his team, he's got quite a bit of threats. I don't know how he's not succeeding as much as I'd expect him to, because he's got some really good Mons on his team. The first 6 on his team are really just super strong. I will say in particular in this battle, I'm expecting him to bring Zardex and Manaphy. Manaphy's going to be pretty scary, between Manaphy and Persian Alolan, just to utilize his Z, it makes sense with Manaphy. Manaphy's scary against my team. And yeah, Togekiss and Celebi make a pretty cool defensive core. Zero Aura outspeeds my entire freaking team. Any Scarfers that I'm trying to use, bar Weavile, are not going to even come close to outspeeding him. Actually, his speed here is 143 or something. It's insane. So I'm gonna have to, I have Weavile, so I'm able to outspeed everything except Zero Aura. So he has his 110s and being Gengar and Archeops. But yeah, if he brings a Scarf Togekiss, that could be a little bit scary too. But and Zardex is just naturally bulky and very strong at the same time. So that'll be some things to consider, and that's some things I was thinking about when I was making my team. So, with that said, hold on here. So with that said, here's the team. Sorry, I didn't have that pulled up. And, so what I ended up doing was, this is really a silly team the more I think about it. I have 2 Banded Mons and I have 2 Scarf Mons. And then I have 2 Leftover Mons. What the frick was I thinking? But I have Banded Zygarde. I thought not a lot on his team really wants to take this friggin' 1,000 arrows. I'm not doing anything crazy this time. I'm just you know what, let's throw 1,000 arrows at him. Celebi's the only thing that's able to take that. And I have a couple things that should be able to trap it, or, use U-turn, or by trap I don't know, keep it in the vortex of U-turn and that kind of thing is something I was thinking about. But yeah, so basically putting pressure on Celebi with other Mons is going to be essential for Zygarde to have success. We're going to see that in a second, spoiler alert. But then I have Slowbro. I'm finally trying a Trick Room set. This was originally max attack, but in the case that Zard got to +1 and I didn't have anything that was able to handle it at this point, if it was fully offensive, then Slowbro needed to take a hit, and this thing does take a +1 outrage from full. and then I could press Trick Room. That would give me a few turns to take out in that Zard, from setting up. So Zard is pretty scary against this team, and so I need to be pretty precautionary in terms of that. I have Scarf Golem. This is a trapping set. It is supposed to handle Scizor in the case that it comes. This also outspeeds non-plus speed nature base 100s. So as long as I'm not facing a timid Celebi or timid Manaphy, this thing will be able to outspeed. And this is a pretty darn good move pool for what I'm facing. The only thing I don't have on this is EQ, which would be nice to reliably hit like Zard X, for example, but couldn't really afford it. I have Steamroller on this. This is a bug type move that Golem does get, and it doesn't kill Celebi, but it does 3/4 or so. So it could be really nice to surprise him and throw him for a loop if I have the chance. We do have Serena. I don't know, I'm a little bit paranoid about handling hazards on this team. So that's why I brought Serena in the form of a spinner. I didn't really like Mandy in this setting, so that's why I did that. The main move that I didn't bring is Knockoff, which could be important against things like Gengar, but otherwise I thought these were the best moves that I could have brought. Stab, High Jump Kick hits hard, U-turn's good for momentum and Celebi, and then spin for hazards. Weavile is my other banded mod. This is just enough speed to outspeed the base 110s. Unfortunately, barely does not outspeed as Adamant if I'm max speed. So with that said, I put Jolly, and then the rest of the HP goes, rest of the EV investment goes into HP. Clefable is mixed defenses. I originally had it as Spadef fully, but then I'm like, okay, I might need to try to take a hit, especially if I'm facing Scizor or something, TBD. But yeah, I needed something with rocks. Golem was too preoccupied with other moves, so I just put Stealth Rock on it. T-Wave in the case of a setting up Zard, and Encore also in the case of a setting up Zard, or really Manaphy as well if it wants to Tail Glow and Rain Dance and all those things. And then Moonblast for classic coverage. How I utilize T-Wave versus Encore is going to be, it's going to depend on the situation. Encore is going to especially work for Manaphy, but of course can work for Zard as well. So with that said, let's look at the battle. I rambled on enough here. So he brought Zard, Celebi, Togekiss, Gengar, Venipede, and Zeraora. So I see that Venipede there, I'm like, oh dear God. I was actually thinking about that a little bit beforehand, where I'm like, Serena's able to handle hazards okay, but actually when it comes to Venipede and Gengar as a combination, Serena doesn't do that well. So I need to think about that going into this, because this thing probably gets T-Spikes and Spikes, and so yeah, T-Spikes for my team is not very fun, and I don't want to deal with that. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process going in, because once T-Spikes happen, even if Serena, comes in, I need to think about, especially if the Gengar is alive, I need to think about a way of being able to get the hazards out of there and not have Serena get too withered. But of course he doesn't know that I don't have Knockoff, so that's also a thought. But with that in mind, I'm pretty sure he's going to lead with Venipede. I was going back and forth between do I lead with Zygarde or Weavile. Both of them hit his team really hard and don't have a lot of handles against him, from the get-go, but I ultimately did decide to lead with Weavile. And so he led with Venipede, and here's the thing, I'm a bit of a scum for doing this, but I absolutely went for Icicle Crash for the chance to flinch so he couldn't get up any hazards. And I do flinch, and he's upset, and understandably so. But he was actually, I should preface, he's been very chill about any hacks that happens in this game. Foreshadow, there's hacks. And yeah, no, he was a very fine spirit about the whole thing. So really shout out to you, Aberforth. Really appreciate you, being chill about it. I definitely get that sentiment. With that said, I accidentally speed crept Venipede as much as I did the base 110s, because it turns out the fastest that Venipede can be as Timid, Jolly, whatever at +1 is 350, and I'm 352. So with that said, Icicle Crash is going to be able, I am going to be able to outspeed him again. And so, so long as I land, we will be fine. And so I go for it, and I do hit. So that's excellent. Venipede's gone. He doesn't have any hazards to his name. Incredible. But then he brings in Zeraora. And my switch-ins are kind of null, TBH. If I had fully Phys Def Clefable, maybe that could be a switch in. But otherwise, not knowing what this guy's set is between Plasma Fits and CC and potential HP Ice, I'm not in a great position. But I'm going to have to switch out my Weavile. I go into my Zygarde, which is the best handle for Zero Aura. And it does work out for me, actually, as he goes for T-Wave. So I'm like, wow, this is a really nice switch in. Now, I have two moves here, really. I'm thinking E-Speed or 1,000 Arrows. The reason, 1,000 Arrows is the most typical. It's going to do a ton of damage. Obviously, he's going to be scared with Zero Aura, but obviously, Celebi can also absorb it. E-Speed would also work if he's T-Wave and not Choice T-Wave, which makes sense for the most part. If he has U-Turn, then he can go for it here just for the sake of momentum, but E-Speed would be able to do a decent bit to him. If he's offensive, it's about a 2-hit KO. And then, yeah, for the sake of him getting momentum, he would also have to pay the cost of losing half of his Zero Aura, and Zero Aura is something I want to wither away a bit. So with that in mind, I do go for the E-Speed. I do exactly half, and he goes for CC. I don't really know what his thought process was there. It didn't really do that much damage. I don't know if he was just trying to gauge or what, but yeah, that was basically that there. With that in mind, he can tell that I'm banded, so I don't see really a reason of staying in, and I actually go into Golem. So you might think that's a little bit weird considering he just went for CC, but for one thing, I knew, him going into Gengar meant, to go into Gengar to take the E-Speed. I was definitely planning on switching out there because CC just did not seem like the move he was going to go for no matter what. It was just kind of an odd play in general, to be honest. But now I have Golem in. Golem cannot outspeed a max speed Timid Gengar. I don't even know if it can outspeed a max speed Modest. It might be able to by a little bit. But chances are I'm not going to be outspeeding this thing. But I should be able to take any hit that this thing does have to offer. That being said, he goes for Taunt as I go for Stone Edge, and I am able to take him out. It's actually like a 50-50 for that Stone Edge to kill, as I am Jolly. But yeah, thankfully I am able to kill him off and not have to take any damage for it. And yeah, he clearly thought that I wasn't, some kind of choice variant, or at least he thought that I could have went for Rocks here. Which, understandably so, considering Zard and Togekiss don't appreciate Rocks. So with that in mind, he goes back into Zero Aura. I don't really care about that because CC doesn't kill Golem from full. So that's why I do stay in here. And I actually am able to hit yet another Stone Edge. But get this, he has Mago Berry. And so he goes back to full health, or back to 50% and then some. And now he has a bulk up on him. So I'm like, well, shoot, this is not the greatest situation. Chances are, I'm thinking he's going to go for CC here. He has bulk up, T-Wave, Close Combat, and probably Plasma Fist. So now we know his coverage, and I'm thinking I'm going to go to Clef here so I can, absorb the hit decently, but also perhaps make him think at this point that, maybe I'm just sacking my Clefable. And that's exactly what I wanted him to think, as, now he's at neutral defense, -1 SPDF, but this allows me to go into my Zygarde pretty much for free. Even if he goes for CC, it's not going to OHKO me from this range. And so here I'm able to go for E-Speed and potentially take him out. It's a bit of a higher roll. I think it does like 47 to 56. It's something along those lines. So it's a bit of a higher roll, but maybe even an average roll. But yeah, so I just wanted to go for that just in case. But I go for E-Speed, does 37. I wasn't exactly sure what kind of set that was at that point. Yeah, so ultimately I do switch out my Serena into my Serena here. Turns out he goes for Trick, and he tricks me as Scarf, as we are both Scarfed. So that's hilarious. With that being said, he's going to outspeed me here, and if he goes for U-turn as he does, I'm not going to be able to take him out with the U-turn, but at least I'll have momentum since he went first. So he U-turns out to Zard, and I U-turn out, and I thought about this for a while. I thought, what am I going to bring in here? I was choosing between Slowbro, Weavile, and Clefable. Clefable, obviously I can Encore or T-Wave. Encore can be a bit variable because if he goes for Flare Blitz, turn 1, then Clefable just gets to a KO and that Encore doesn't do anything. If I go to Weavile, I definitely can't OHKO him. and then may just have to risk losing my Weavile in exchange for a Flare Blitz, or, Outrage or Dragon Claw. Slowbro can just about 2 KO on the norm with my set, and I can also Trick Room, and so that was an option I was looking at. Ultimately, I chose Clefable though, because with lefties, I should be able to live a neutral Flare Blitz from full. So no matter what he decides to do here, barring a substitute, I should be in a good position by going for T-Wave. So that is what I elect to do, as he goes for the DD, and I am able to hit the T-Wave. I should also say, these 90% moves, these 80% accurate moves, I've been hitting them, and I'm pretty graced for them because I'm wondering if it's going to bite me soon enough. But yeah, I am able to go for the T-Wave. At this point, I don't really see a lot of switch-ins I have here. Like, theoretically, I could go for Encore. I don't remember what I ultimately tried going for here. But he goes for Flare Blitz and he's going to take me out. He takes a ton of damage from that, which is really nice. At this point, I'm able to take him out with Zygarde, Weavile, or Golem. However, with the +1, he's only at half speed, and with my bulky Zard, I'm not going to be able to outspeed his Zard, I think. So, with that said, I have Weavile, and I think Icicle Crash kills, but I also have Golem. And I don't know the rest of his moves, but like, I thought, okay, if Weavile misses, that's worse of a risk than losing Golem and missing. So it's kind of a weird thought process, just like saying what's more of a risk of missing, because like I'm gonna have to go to the other the next time anyway. But the other thing I thought about this is there's no way Golem outspeeds Zard unless I'm Scarf. And this could lead him into this false sense of security of thinking, okay, I'm just going to take him out or bring him down to a sash or whatever he thinks my item is. But I am able to hit the Stone Edge. Again, like, this is a circumstance where I wish I had Earthquake and could have killed him. But, alas. But yeah, I'm able to take him out, and you'll actually see here, he's like, of all double Scarfers, was not expecting Golem and Serena. And it's like, yeah, dude, I know, right? So I'm kind of whack sometimes, but it worked out. He goes for the bulk up with 0 aura. Like I said, he's not going to be able to kill me from full. So the bulk up was definitely his best play, but I do hit and then I crit him. So obviously I could have went for E-Speed or Ice Shroud the next turn, but the fact that he, just gets crit sucks. It could have went way worse. Like, I will say, like, I probably would have had to lose Golem, maybe Zygarde, in exchange for getting enough damage. No, I wouldn't need to lose Zygarde. I could have taken the CC from my current health and just been able to kill it off with 1,000 arrows. But yeah, nonetheless, I would have lost Golem at this point. But here he elects to go for Togekiss, and I don't know why. Like, Celebi seems like it would have been a better play, and considering he's Scarf, he could just go for Giga Drain a couple of times. Maybe he didn't want to get Pursuit Trapped by Weavile, I'm not really sure. Yeah, I didn't really understand that, but and especially the reason I question it is because I outspeed him. Stone Edge is going to do a ton of damage, and apparently Air Slash is his move choice. He was talking about like various hacks during this game. He's like, man, Stone Edge just never misses, and of course the only time he dodges Stone Edge is against Togekiss, where apparently his only move to hit me, I quad resist. So I don't end up OHKOing him, but I do enough to where I am, able to still kill him off with the second one easily. With that said, at this point I feel like I'm comfortable conserving differential because his Celebi is Scarf, and Zygarde, barring him going for an HP Ice, which if so, I just go to Weavile afterwards, and I have a 4-0, but instead he elects to go for the U-turn as his move choice. And so with that said, I just go for a couple E-speeds and I am able to take him out, and that gives me the 5-0. So turned out really nice this week. It really did. Definitely blessed to have that, because again, an L this week would have been really bad. And yeah, this differential too, this +5 puts me at -2, I believe. So being 2-3 and a -2 differential is not too bad with considering everything that happened. I'm almost back in positive differential, and if I get a couple more wins soon, I'll just be kind of in the hunt for getting back into brackets. So yeah, definitely needed this win. This differential really is a nice icing on the cake too. And so we're still in this, guys. Stick with me. We're going to see what we can do. We're going to see if we can pull through. Like I said, I'm modifying my team to make it a little bit better in the coming weeks. I'm probably going to continue doing post-coms because my computer lags a lot with Showdown. And yeah, it's probably just the best way to go. So with that in mind, let me know what you guys think about this content, what you're looking forward to the rest of the season. Hope to see you guys in the comments. Thanks y'all for watching. Like, comment, sub, and until later, peace.